Hello everybody, my name is Thomas and I'm making this video today for educational purposes to give people a better understanding of how aerobic drip systems for septics work and function. No better time than on a fresh install. It hasn't been covered, so you can see how it all works underground before it's covered. Everything starts here at the pump tank, and I'm only going to go over the drip aspect of the system. At the pump tank, you have your manifold right here that's attached to a pump at the very bottom. And once the pump cuts on, it shoots the water through this line, which we call the supply line. And it brings it around, and it runs through a pressure regulator, which in this case, it called for a 40 PSI. And then an arco filter, which catches any solids that happen to creep through the aerobic process and, you know, make its way to the pump tank. And then this does periodically, the arco filter does periodically need to be cleaned. If not, it will clog and your tank will fill up. This other line beside it is your return line. We're going to get more into that in the field. But what this does is returns any solids from the field back and comes back to the pump tank through this 1" 90 that you see right there down in the tank. Now let's go out to the field. And these are the two lines, the return and the supply. So only two lines on this system you're going to have. We're going to follow the supply. You have all the water coming from the pump through the supply. And the first T you see here, this is the supply line. This is your drip tubing. The supply line supplies the tubing with water, and it runs through the tubing down, around, loops around. This is called the zone. Comes around, and then it ends up right here underneath this ball valve. Underneath this valve box. This ball valve is your return line. This is your supply. Right here, supply. This is your return. This ball valve, once the water hits this, it stops it and it pressurizes, and it starts dripping through emitters that are every 18 inches. There's one right here. You see the wet spot? It drips every 18 inches once it pressurizes. Now, what you would use this for also is what happens is microsolids get pushed and they stop at the end. So periodically, usually during inspections, you run the pump and you open this ball valve all the way, and any solids that are starting to accumulate here will get shot back through the return, back to the pump tank. But if you keep it open, it's not going to have the pressure to drip through the emitter, so you're just going to be basically recycling the water straight back to the tank. And as you go down, that's the first zone. You follow the supply line again. This is your second zone. Runs down, loops around, just like the other. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 7 rows. Then it comes back, and you've got another return line, which would be, let me see, let me find the other return line. Oh, it's down there at the end, I'm sorry. Follows this pipe down, and then you're gonna have your return line here. What you have here is a vacuum breaker. What this does is when the pump cuts off, it releases air into the line and breaks the siphon. So that way you don't have your pump siphoning the water to the field when it turns off. It breaks the vacuum, if you will. This particular system, it looks like it has 3 zones. That's the second one. And then over here, you have your final and last zone. This is going to be another ball valve here. And once again, like I said, on my drip systems, and this is completely just me, I keep mine pinched that way, just like so. Not closed all the way, not open all the way. It still creates the pressure it needs for it to drip out of the tubing, but you never get any microsolids packing up here and clogging the lines, because every time the pump cuts on, it shoots that back to the tank through that return line once again. And every system will have, every drip system should have, depending on your regulation, should have 2 vacuum breakers, and they should be placed at the highest point of each zone. One for the return, one for the supply. This one right here is the one for your return. This is your second return. See how it's just pinched like such? And this is your second vacuum breaker for your return line. And you can also test the water pressure by pulling off these caps on the vacuum breakers. And there's a little ball in here that shoots up and seals the line whenever the pump cuts on. And if that ball in there sitting down like it is right now, that means that either A, your lines are clogged, or your pump's off. In this case, the pump's off. And that is pretty much the gist of a drip system. Hopefully you've got a better idea from this tutorial, and Thank you very much for watching. Bye.